Subscribe now for more amazing content, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Another excavation. Just another forgotten site buried beneath decades of dust and silence. No headlines, no history books, no warnings. But the moment we touched the ground, something felt wrong. Not dangerous, not even hostile, just impossible. The call came in late October. I remember because the air had already started to turn cold, that dry, biting kind of cold you only feel in the American Southwest, the kind that carries silence with it, the kind that makes you feel like you're standing on land that remembers things it shouldn't. My name is Daniel Hayes. I've been an independent field researcher for over a decade, specializing in undocumented field sites, places too small for government funding, too strange for universities to claim, and too forgotten for anyone to care about. Until now. The coordinates came from a private contractor, no official letterhead, no institutional backing, just a set of GPS numbers and a short message. We found something. We don't understand it. Please come alone. That should have been my first red flag, but curiosity is a dangerous thing. The site was located about 60 miles from the nearest town. No paved roads, no signage, just miles of cracked earth, scattered rock formations, and an unsettling absence of life. No birds, no insects, nothing. When I arrived, there were already 4 people waiting: a geologist, a technician, a surveyor, and the man who sent the message, Marcus Reed. He didn't shake my hand. "Glad you made it," he said, eyes locked on mine like he hadn't slept in days. "Before we go any further, I need you to understand something." I laughed lightly, trying to ease the tension. I've worked in collapsed tombs and sinkholes filled with methane. I think I'll be fine. He didn't smile. This isn't like that. They showed me the entrance just before sunset. At first glance, it looked like a natural sinkhole, about 12 feet wide, descending into darkness. But as I got closer, I noticed something strange. The edges were too smooth. Not eroded, not broken, cut perfectly, like something had carved through solid earth with surgical precision. I crouched down, running my fingers along the surface. "No tool marks," I whispered. The geologist nodded. "Exactly." "Then how?" "We don't know." We descended the next morning. The first 20 feet were uneventful, just compact soil and layers of sediment. But then, the texture changed. The walls shifted from earth to something else. Something darker, denser. Stone, but not like any stone I had ever seen. It wasn't rough, it wasn't porous. It felt polished, like glass, but cold, too cold. "Basalt?" I asked. "No," the geologist replied quietly. "We tested samples." "And?" He hesitated. "They don't match anything in our database." At 40 feet down, we found the first structure. A wall. Not natural, not geological. A wall. Flat, seamless, stretching across the tunnel like it had been placed there intentionally. And at its center, a symbol. A circular engraving, about 3 feet wide, intricate patterns spiraling inward towards a single point. I took out my camera. "Don't!" Marcus snapped. I froze. "Why?" He looked at the others before answering. "Because the last time we tried, something happened." I thought they were exaggerating until the lights flickered. Not dimmed, not failed, flickered, like something interfered with them. technician checked his equipment. Batteries full, no issues. But the lights kept pulsing. On, off. And then they stopped. Everything went completely dark. I've been in darkness before. Caves, tunnels, buried chambers. But this was different. This wasn't just the absence of light. It felt heavy, like the darkness itself had weight. And then we heard it. A sound, low, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat, but slower, too slow. The lights snapped back on. Everyone was frozen. No one spoke. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. No one answered, but I could see it in their faces. They had. We approached the wall carefully. The symbol seemed to shift. Not physically, not exactly, but the more I looked at it, the harder it was to understand, like it didn't want to be understood. "Stand back," Marcus snapped. He stepped forward and placed his hand on the center of the engraving. For a moment, nothing happened, and then the ground trembled. The wall didn't open, it didn't slide or crack, it simply disappeared. One second it was there, the next it wasn't, revealing a passage behind it, a passage that shouldn't exist. I didn't tell anyone after that, at least not at first. Because how do you explain something that officially never existed? How do you report a place that leaves no trace behind it? And more importantly, how do you describe something that seems to follow you home? The first night after I returned, I thought it was exhaustion, that kind of deep bone fatigue you get after field work in harsh conditions. I collapsed into bed without even turning off the light. But I didn't sleep. Not properly. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it again. That chamber, the floating shape, and the symbols moving. Not static anymore, not carved, living. On the second night, I started hearing the sound. At first, I thought it was my apartment building, old pipes, maybe faulty wiring. But it wasn't mechanical. It was rhythmic, slow, controlled, like something breathing in time with my thoughts. I checked every room. Nothing. No source. No explanation. But the moment I stopped moving, it stopped too, like it was waiting. By the third day, I made a decision. I opened my field notebook. Everything I had written at the site was still there, but something was different. The sketches. I don't remember drawing half of them. Symbols I swear I had never seen before were filling the margins, detailed, precise, and one of them was a new one, a perfect circle with a single line breaking through it. I stared at it for a long time, and then my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but I did. A voice came through immediately. No greeting, just one sentence. "You brought it back." My throat went dry. "Who is this?" A pause. Then, "You should not have looked at the center." I sat down slowly. "Marcus?" I asked. Silence. Then the voice changed. Not different speaker. Different tone, heavier, closer. "You did not leave alone." The call ended, just like that. No signal loss, no hang-up tone, just silence. That night, I didn't stay in my apartment. I drove, no destination, just away. But the problem with running from something you can't see is that you never know if you've escaped it. I stopped at a roadside motel outside the city. Cheap place, flickering neon sign, half-dead vending machine in the corner. I thought distance would help. It didn't. At exactly 3:17 a.m., I woke up. Not from a sound, from stillness, absolute silence. Even the refrigerator hum outside my room had stopped. And in that silence, I heard it again. The heartbeat. Except this time, it wasn't outside my head. It was synchronized with it. My pulse matched it. Slow, deliberate, wrong. I sat up. The room light was on. I don't remember turning it on. And on the far wall, the symbol was there. Projected. Not painted, not carved. Projected. Like light itself had chosen to form it. I backed away slowly. Okay, I whispered to myself. This is stress. This is trauma. This is... The symbol shifted, just slightly, and I stopped talking because I understood something I hadn't before. It wasn't static, it was responding. I ran out of the room barefoot. The motel corridor stretched longer than it should have, doors repeating, numbers changing, but always leading back to the same place, room 217, my room, over and over. Then I saw him. Marcus, standing at the end of the hallway, wearing the same jacket from the excavation site. Calm, too calm. You're not real, I said immediately. He tilted his head slightly. That depends on where you're standing. I stopped moving. What is this? What did we find? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked at the walls, at the repeating doors, at the flickering light above us, and finally said, "It's not a place." I laughed nervously. "Then what is it?" He looked at me directly. "A threshold." The air felt heavier after he said it, like the word itself changed something. You didn't just open a chamber, you touched something that exists between layers. Layers of what? Reality. I shook my head. No, that's not... I don't believe in... You don't have to believe in it. It already believes in you. The Holloway lights flickered again, and for a split second, I saw it. Not Marcus, not the motel. Something behind everything. A vast, dark geometry stretching beyond sight, watching, waiting. "What is it?" I whispered. Marcus stepped closer, and for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. Not of me, of it. "We thought it was buried," he said quietly. "We were wrong." A deep sound echoed through the hallway, not loud, but present, like something massive turning in its sleep. The walls cracked, not physically, but visually, like reality itself was breaking apart in thin lines. Marcus grabbed my arm. "We need to close the connection," he said urgently. "Connection to what?" He hesitated. Then, the center. Before I could respond, the hallway collapsed into light. Not explosion, transformation. Everything dissolved into brightness. And then, I was back, in the chamber. The original chamber, standing exactly where I had stood before. But this time, I was not alone. The floating figure was gone, the structure was open, and inside it was empty. "No," I whispered. Behind me, Marcus spoke softly. "It's already moved." The chamber trembled. The symbols on the walls began to rearrange themselves, faster now, like something was rewriting them in real time. "What happens now?" I asked. Marcus didn't answer immediately. Then he said the words I'll never forget. "Now it expands." The ground beneath us split open. Light poured upward. Not illumination, not fire. Something else entirely. Something that felt like awareness. And in that moment, I understood. We didn't discover something buried in the earth. We discovered something that had been waiting for Earth to dig down far enough to find it. The chamber wasn't a site, it was a door, and we didn't open it. We noticed it, which was worse. Everything around me began to dissolve again. Marcus looked at me one last time and said, "You're still connected." Then everything went white. When I woke up again, I was back in my apartment. No signs of travel, no exhaustion, no proof, except one thing. On my desk was the symbol, fresh, as if drawn seconds ago. And this time, it wasn't alone. It was expanding outward, slowly, quietly, across the surface of the wood, and underneath it, a faint sound, like a heartbeat, getting closer. I stopped trying to convince myself it was stress after the fourth night. Stress doesn't rewrite wood. Stress doesn't synchronize with your heartbeat. And stress definitely doesn't learn your routines. By then, I had changed apartments twice. Different districts, different buildings, different floors. It didn't matter. The symbol still came back. Not on walls anymore. Not always visible, but always there. In reflections that didn't match the room. In water that rippled without reason. In screens that flickered for half a second too long. I started documenting everything. Audio recordings, video logs, written timestamps. At first, I thought I could catch a pattern, a trigger, a cause. But the data did something strange. It didn't stay consistent. It adapted. One night, I recorded a 12-minute video of my empty room. When I played it back, there was something standing behind me at minute 6:43. I had been sitting alone the entire time. I deleted it immediately. That was my first mistake. Because deleting didn't remove it. It only made it harder to track. A week later, I got another call. Same unknown number. This time, I answered without hesitation. A voice spoke immediately. Calm, controlled, not Marcus. "You are resisting synchronization." I froze. "Who is this?" A pause. Then, "The boundary is adjusting to you." I clenched my jaw. "I don't know what you're talking about." The voice continued anyway. "You were not meant to return with awareness." I sat down slowly. "What do you want from me?" A longer pause this time. Then the line that still echoes in my head. "We do not want anything. You are already part of it." The line ended again. No signal drop, no hang-up, just absence, like something simply stopped pretending to be there. That night, I decided to do something I probably shouldn't have. I went back to the site, or at least where it used to be. The desert looked normal, too normal. Flat horizon, dry wind, empty silence. But I knew better now. Silence wasn't emptiness. Silence was containment. I brought GPS, excavation tools, and a metal detector I knew wouldn't help. But I needed something physical, something grounding, something real. For 3 hours, I searched the area. Nothing. No depression in the ground, no altered soil, no geological anomaly. Just sand. Endless sand. I was about to leave when the detector beeped once. Weak, inconsistent, but enough. I dug. Slowly at first, then faster. The sand changed texture about 2 feet down. Denser, darker, familiar. My hands started shaking before I even saw it. The black surface, smooth, perfect. The same material. "No way," I whispered. But it was there, again. And this time, it wasn't sealed. The surface had a thin opening, like a crack, a breathing line. inside it, light, soft, pulsing. My instincts screamed at me to stop, but curiosity, again, that same dangerous pull. I reached toward it, and before I touched it, something spoke. Not inside my head this time, out loud, from behind me. Don't. I turned fast. Marcus, standing a few feet away. Same jacket, same expression, but more tired. You're not real, I said immediately. He didn't react. Neither are you. I stepped back. What is this? Why does it keep following me? He looked at the crack in the ground. It's not following you. A pause. Then, it never left you. The ground beneath us vibrated slightly. That same slow rhythm, that same heartbeat. You said it was a threshold, a boundary between layers. So what's on the other side? Marcus didn't answer immediately. Instead, he said something worse. We don't call it a what anymore. The crack in the ground widened slightly, light spilling out, warmer now, almost inviting. Marcus stepped closer to it, and for the first time, he looked afraid again. But not of it, of me. You were exposed longer than anyone, he said quietly. That makes you a carrier. My throat tightened. A carrier of what? He finally looked me directly. Awareness. The wind stopped completely. Even the sand felt still. And then I understood something I didn't want to understand. This wasn't an infection, not a curse, not even a discovery. It was a transfer. The chamber wasn't a machine. It wasn't an artifact. It was a system, and we had already been integrated into it. The crack expanded further, and I felt it then. Not fear, not panic, a pull, like gravity shifting direction, toward it. Marcus grabbed my arm. Don't go closer, he said, but his grip felt weak, not physically, conceptually, like he wasn't fully anchored here anymore. What happens if I do? I asked. He hesitated. Then, you stop being separate. That didn't sound like death. That sounded worse. The light rose higher from the crack, and for a moment I saw it again, the chamber, but not underground. Everywhere. Behind everything. Under everything. A structure that wasn't in space, but around space. I stepped forward without meaning to. Marcus didn't stop me this time. He just whispered, "You chose this the moment you saw the center." My foot reached the edge. The light intensified, and I felt it. Not pain, not warmth, but expansion. Like my thoughts were no longer contained inside me. Like something was listening from the inside. And then, a realization. Sudden, clear, terrifying. I wasn't returning to it. I was becoming part of how it reaches back. The last thing I saw clearly was Marcus stepping away, not escaping, leaving space, like someone stepping out of a doorway that had just learned how to open both ways. And then the desert was gone. Now I don't know where I am or what I am. Sometimes I still think I have a body. Sometimes I still think I'm writing this. But most of the time, it feels more like I'm being remembered. And occasionally, when everything is quiet enough, I still hear it. Not a heartbeat anymore. Something larger, more structured, like a system powering on. And one thought keeps returning. not mine. Or maybe it is now. Some discoveries don't reveal the past. They update the future.